Welcome back to another episode of Heavy Wireless, part of the Packet Pushers podcast network. My name is Keith Parsons, and today we have a sponsored episode from NETGEAR. And we have from NETGEAR two people in their product development group, Nat and Iphie. Nat, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you.
And you ready to share the difference between NETGEAR that I would buy at my local consumer store and the NETGEAR we're talking about today?
Absolutely. So today we will definitely talk to you about the NETGEAR Enterprise Network Solutions, which maybe a lot of folks may not be familiar with. That's what we are going to be talking about.
Great. And Iphie, what do you do at NETGEAR?
Hey, I'm the Director of Product Management, overseeing the total network solution, including our cloud-based solution and all the cloud manageable NETGEAR for business devices.
Wow, that sounds like you have lots of marketing terms in there. Cloud network. Okay, so tell me again, what's the name of the group you're working with?
The group is called Total Network Solution, meaning the comprehensive network solution, including software and hardware. So we'll be talking about details around offerings and the solution we have here at NETGEAR for Business.
Well, great. Well, one of the things in our pre-call we talked about that I think is a good place to start is what does NETGEAR recommend to their customers to make the best possible Wi-Fi?
Before we get into that, I just want to reiterate the point that Iphie just made to answer the first question that you asked, Keith. NETGEAR in general is well known in the industry as a consumer networking products or company. But believe it or not, it has a network equipments and solutions to so to speak for typically enterprises or businesses around the world. As a matter of fact, NETGEAR as founded to support the businesses. If you recall, maybe back in the days in the late 90s when it was started, actually they had pretty good hubs. Of course, from that point, it has evolved into many facets in introducing those network solutions, which encompasses the routers, unmanaged and managed switches, as well as Wi-Fi access points, making it as a complete networking solutions that businesses would want. To talk about specifically Wi-Fi in this case is that, whenever you deploy any high quality network, especially Wi-Fi network, the planning is very, very crucial. And when you talk about planning, site survey, of course, plays a huge role in order to make sure where to position the access point, what type of interference are there in that environment, and what's the size of the building, what type of materials are used within the building, such as whether the building is made out of brick walls or a lot of metals or typical, dry walls that we see in the United States here, especially in West Coast. So those plays a very critical role. Now, in making sure that we have a proper site survey, somebody has to go out to this site and do the site survey, which is, while it is absolutely recommended, but not pragmatic or practical to do it on every single deployment. So we rely on some of the heat map tools, create that network here planning for the customers. In fact, I'm gonna ask if we have this free services that helps our customers, right? So, okay, as far as the heat map and RF planning is concerned, why don't you talk about that a little bit, Iphie?
Yeah, that's correct. As Nat mentioned, apart from our comprehensive network solution offerings, the hardware and software, we also offer pre-sales remote site survey services to our customers. So the process is quite simple. People can reach out to us by simple email us through pro-Wi-Fi design at netgear.com, and then just provide us with the floor plan, and also, as Nat mentioned, the material of the outside and inside walls, and also the height of the ceiling. We just need those kind of informations to provide the remote site survey for our customers' projects.
Is that using partners or is that internal NETGEAR people that do that design process for you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So behind that email group, we actually have the product managers, product engineers, and also system engineers to help provide those services and answer all the kinds of inquiries our customers might have through the email.
Okay.
So just to add to that, whatever Iphie just now mentioned, if our partners send an email to this group, the email ID, I believe, Keith, you can put it out for folks to listen to in the future. Once they send out an email asking for design help, our folks will create that RF planning based on all the information that Iphie mentioned, and then provide them that heat map.
And what tools do you use for that?
We use Ekahau, but of course there are a variety of tools available for heat map purpose, such as NetSpot and acrylic and so on and so forth, air magnet and all that. But we tend to use Ekahau.
A customer asks for that, you'll do that design service for free. What about, let's pretend it's a new building and they haven't built it yet, but they do have floor plans. Do you also incorporate the wired side design?
Absolutely. And, talking about wired, if he's an expert in our switching, because it is, it is in her wheelhouse. Why don't, if you talk about the switching aspects of it, how important that is, especially, for Wi-Fi networking as well.
Yeah, absolutely. At NETGEAR for Business, we offer a wide range of switch options, including different types of management from unmanaged switch to layer 2 to layer 3 and fully managed switches. And also we offer the smallest S5 port switch, which NETGEAR for Business started with, is like tiny hub with five port unmanaged or layer 2 managed switches, and we're still producing those tiny switches, and all the way to 96 ports in our portfolio. So we cover all kinds of use case and size, the scope of the business, and also we offer PoE, non-PoE. As you may know, the PoE standard technologies evolved from PoE to PoE plus, and now it's PoE plus plus, which is the IEEE 802.3 BT standard. So we under our portfolio, we also have several PoE plus plus switches that can support high PoE consumption devices. So at NETGEAR, you can find like one-stop shop shopping experience for all kinds of business needs as in terms of network connectivity, speed, and power requirements. So for the switchers, obviously it's the wired network devices, right? So when we plan the network solution for our customers, we will also kind of remind them, don't overlook their wired infrastructure. So without the right cabling, they might run into some slowdowns or bottlenecks that might be negatively impacting their network performance. To avoid this, we will ask them the Ethernet cabling is up to the tax by investing in high quality cables, like Cat6a or even Cat7 for if they were going to deploy 10 gig switches, or maybe it's just 1 gig, 2.5 gig, then the Cat5 cabling will be good enough to support their speeds and capacity needs. So a reliable wired infrastructure is really critical to ensure peak network performance and seamless connectivity across their devices.
Yeah, so if I might add one thing to Ife's point, talking about the breadth of switching portfolio, Keith, we have from 1 gigabit port all the way to 100 gigabits, port. So It's that just underscores the fact that it is an enterprise networking solution, not just home-based networking. Generally, it is viewed as. So yeah,
Yeah,
you've got
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't get a 100 gig connection at Costco or Best Buy.
yes, that is correct. So it's available through only our distribution slash war channel or value added resellers channel. Those high end switches, not in Costco or Best Buy.
Which is just to highlight again, you're talking about NETGEAR's business enterprise side.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, thanks for adding that point, Nat. I just want to, emphasize that our use cases are quite various. We have different vertical focuses, not limited, but also including the data center use case that people will deploy our fully managed switches up to, 100 gig speed.
You mentioned multiple times about the management, both of switches and APs. Is your management in the cloud? Is that where the business side does the management?
Yes, you're right, Keith. So we have a so-called Insight. That's our name of our management platform. It's hosted on AWS, and it's a multi-tenant platform. So what I mean by that is, if you are a managed service provider and you're managing whole bunch of customers, you can have your own login and you can manage all those. Let's say you're managing 500 customers or 200 customers. You when you log in, you can see all those 200 customers and their network details just from in a single pane of glass. And then, of course, to manage, monitor, or troubleshoot a particular customer's network, you can just go from there itself without having to log in or switch between different customers. So you get a complete view in one place. That's true multi-tenancy I'm talking about, right? So this management platform manages the complete portfolio that includes our routers, switches, as well as the Wi-Fi access points. You can configure them, you can monitor them, you can manage them. When I say manage, like you can do a software upgrade, you can reboot if you have to, or if you have to do some kind of a troubleshooting, you could do that. And everything that you can do from this single pane of glass management platform that we have.
One of the questions I'm sure our audience has when it comes to Netgear and wireless, most of us have been used to Netgear from the consumer side. One of the steps as you move into enterprise is you have multiple APs and they have to somehow coordinate specifically on their channel and transmit power. What's Netgear's business solution for taking into account the channel plan?
Absolutely. So the RF planning is absolutely critical, as we were talking about earlier. And Netgear has some of the advanced features in order to make sure that channel utilization and channel planning are all considered within a given site deployment. So their customers can enable some of these advanced features in terms of the transmit power, or channels to use, or auto channel selection, as well as it'll go all the way to, let's say you turn down your network is up and running, but for some reason at that particular channel that's being used currently is having high interference, or etc. Then we have a background algorithm running, and that algorithm, based on, of course, settings, it can change or to switch over to a different channel that might be much more cleaner, which will give you a better user experience. So we have all those bells and whistles that are there, in our access points, and of course, with the help of the cloud platform.
Well, speaking a little bit of channels, let's move on to radio frequencies. I'm sure you support 2, 4, and 5 gig, and you now have 6 gigahertz access points. Can you talk a little bit about 6 gigahertz and also Wi-Fi 7?
Absolutely. So just like how Iphie mentioned the breadth of our switching portfolio, We also have, on the Wi-Fi side, we have a complete portfolio as well, both the Wi-Fi 6 as well as Wi-Fi 7 access points. Wi-Fi is, we have Wi-Fi 6 access points indoor, outdoor, with good, better, best type of line of products. So it depends on customers' use cases, requirements, pricing, performance needs. They can get, any one of those good, better, best access points within the indoor. And of course, there is an outdoor to support the outdoor use cases. Similarly, we have Wi-Fi access points as well. So customers who are, trying to those who are going through the refresh cycle and they want to jump onto this Wi-Fi 7, which is taking off. That's the new trend in our Wi-Fi industry. They can certainly buy our Wi-Fi 7 access point that will future-proof for the next 3 to 5 years until the next refresh cycle, whenever that might be for that particular customer. So we offer both Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 access point, which covers the complete portfolio.
As concerning 6 gigahertz APs, do most of your product line support 6 gig as well as 2, 4, and 5?
That's correct. Yes, we support all bands, the 2.4, 5, as well as 6. So it depends on customers' need. The particular model can be purchased.
And I know you're a global company, so this next question has to do with different geographies.
Mhm.
In the US, we have 1200 megahertz of 6 gigahertz space. Europe and some other countries, not quite so much. Are your products capable of doing the entire 1200, or do you have them coded down to just do the bottom half of 6 gig?
No, so it depends on, of course, the since you talked about the geo, location specific. So of course, every country has their own regulation standards. So we adhere to whatever the regulation standard applicable for that, specific part of the world, and whatever the channels are supported, we support the entire breadth of those channels.
The reason I was asking is there's some vendors who don't support the full 1200 megahertz, but obviously you do.
That is correct. Yes.
Well, you're talking about enterprise. So enterprise doesn't only mean some features, it also kind of reflects the size. Could you give us an example of some of the larger, nothing under NDA, but some of the larger installs you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I won't be able to mention the name of the customers because of, confidentiality reasons, but I will definitely share some of the pretty large size deployments we have done. So there is a customer, it's a university, as you know, since it's an university, it's a large campus. Tens of thousands of students are studying there, right? So obviously customer, wanted to try us initially with few access points. They were very happy and ended up now deploying throughout their campus. Now we are 1,000 access points in that one campus alone. They have multiple campuses so they're going to expand completely across all the campuses. So the projection is by the time we will be done, we are talking about close to 5,000 access point will be done just in one university. There's another university which is very, very interesting use case. I visited them as well very recently. This customer told us that, there is an incumbent vendor, and it's a student housing within the campus, and students were complaining that their Wi-Fi, sucks, and they used to get 300 help desk calls, most of them pertaining to their Wi-Fi issues. So customer, invited multiple vendors. So they said, you know what, I'll give you each one of you guys go and deploy your access points or Wi-Fi solution in each one of those floors. Whoever solves my student's Wi-Fi issue, I will take you to the next level of discussion. A bunch of vendors were invited, everybody were given a fair chance. at the end, only two vendors were able to solve the customers, in this case, students' Wi-Fi issue, and and that was Netgear was one of them. So Netgear was on the table. So we, of course, we are very affordable compared to many other vendors in the industry. So not only we solved the issue, we were very affordable. So customer ended up picking us as their vendor choice. So now we have deployed, our Wi-Fi solution in their entire student housing. We replaced an incumbent, a well-known incumbent actually. So we are happy about that. Not only we are happy, much more than that, our customer is very, very happy because they are not getting those calls from students anymore. So the help desk calls went from 300 per day to almost zero now.
That's impressive. The proof's in the pudding. When you make customers not call help desk, everyone's happy. The customers are happy, and obviously the help desk is happy.
Exactly.
Those are some pretty large installs. Just reinforcing that you're playing in the same enterprise space. Iphie, what's in the future when you're working on it? People in product development, and I'm asking this hard question, like, what's in the future? And I know you don't want to say everything, but what's on the roadmap that's been published?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Keith. Because you asked it, so I can obviously proudly talk about what's in the plan. Obviously, we're fulfilling our Wi-Fi 7 portfolio as Nat just talked about. We have good, better, and best product offerings in Wi-Fi 6, and we also are doing it for Wi-Fi 7, so people will be able to find entry-level Wi-Fi 7, mid-level, and also advanced Wi-Fi 7 access point from us, as well as an outdoor version or other like placement options for the wireless access points. And to be able to maximize the Wi-Fi 7 performance, we are also developing a lot more like multi-gig, multi-gig meaning 1 gig, 2.5 gig, 5 gig, and even 10 gig multi-gig switches, and also a higher power version, the PoE++ switches, to be able to support the bandwidth, speed, and power need of Wi-Fi 7 in the future. So that's what we've been doing rigorously.
I ask this question to most vendors and looking for a answer because it sometimes matters in people's installs. If you have one of your new APs, 6 gig AP, either Wi-Fi 6E or Wi-Fi 7, and you don't give it enough PoE, what happens?
So, if there is not enough PoE budget, then there are some portion of access points, capabilities will be reduced. And that's just, instead of completely powering off the AP, some portion of the, access points capabilities could be reduced. That's why actually one of the questions you asked earlier, how important or what type of role the wired infrastructure playing in Wi-Fi deployment is very, very important, right? So you have to make sure that enough power budget is there on the switches in order to fully power the access point, so that the AP's capabilities are not reduced because of the lack of power. So that's where it plays a very critical role, the switching infrastructure.
Yeah, I've found troubleshooting Wi-Fi is difficult enough, but
Yeah.
troubleshooting Wi-Fi that was the degradation was caused by lack of PoE is really frustrating because you start on the Wi-Fi side, you work all the way down. Why is that not doing what it's supposed to be doing? And then I just didn't give it enough power. And
That's right.
It's not a Wi-Fi problem at all, but it feels like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally hear you. That happens.
Well, this has been good talking about NETGEAR and the business side of NETGEAR. A lot of us have started our careers with NETGEAR Consumer, and now there's NETGEAR Business as well. If someone wanted to get a hold of you and follow up and contact more, how would they find you?
They can find me personally through, LinkedIn, just, looking for my name, Iphie Chen, IPHIECHEN. Then my profile page will show up. And obviously, I'm behind this pro Wi-Fi design at netgear.com email group. So if you have any questions regarding your network solutions design, please don't hesitate to email us. So we will provide our free site survey and just Q&A services to you.
Oh, that's great. And Nat?
Yeah, so just like how if he said, I'm available on LinkedIn as well. It's Nat Chidambaram. So if you look for that, you'll be able to find it. And I'm at NETGEAR. So if you look for NETGEAR and Nat, you'll find me very quickly.
Well, thanks for spending the time with us today. This has been another episode of Heavy Wireless, part of the Packet Pushers Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by NETGEAR, specifically to learn more about NETGEAR and their enterprise products. If you have any other questions, feel free to go and access all of the links that are available in the show notes. And we look forward to talking to you in the future.